everyone, I am Amit Maru, and today in this video we will discuss about how to launch Linux server on AWS. In our last video we have discussed about how to launch a Windows server on AWS, and we have launched a Windows 2019 server. So link of that video is available in description. So use this link to watch this video. So let's start to learn about how to launch Linux server on AWS. Please stay tuned to the end of the video. Let's get started with the outline of our today's video. In our today's video, first we will discuss about basics of EC2. What is exactly EC2 that we already discussed in our previous video. In this video, I will give brief of EC2. Then we will discuss steps to create a virtual machine on AWS. In our today's video, I will give brief idea about how we can create Linux virtual machine on AWS. And third, it is very much important because in third step, we will have a demo on how to create virtual machine on AWS. So we will have a practical session in that we will create Linux virtual machine on AWS. So first of all, let us discuss basics of EC2. As we already discussed, EC2 is a service provided by AWS under compute domain. And using this EC2, you can create multiple virtual server with different operating systems such as Linux, Ubuntu. In our previous video, we have launched Windows 2019 server by using EC2 service. So for detailed description of EC2, please find the link in description below and use this link to watch this video so that you can have idea about what is exactly EC2 is. Now let's discuss different steps to create Linux virtual server on AWS. The first step is you have to install Putty Software. This software basically used to access Linux server. On our AWS console, we can launch Linux server, but if you want to access Linux server, then using Putty Software we can access. Once you download Putty Software and once you install it, at that time you will get two exe file inside the Putty folder. One is Puttygen and second one is putty.exe. This both the file is very much important to access our virtual Linux server. By using Puttygen, you can convert .pm key pair to the ppk private key. As we discussed, we can download Putty software from the internet. So you have to just open Google on any browser and then type Putty download. Once you type Putty download, then there will be number of link. The first link is www.putty.org. You have to just click on that. Then you can read here. You can download Putty from here. So you have to just click here. Then there will be another two options. That is 32-bit and second one is 64-bit. If your operating system is 32-bit operating system, then you can click here to download the installer. If your operating system is 64-bit operating system, then you can click here to download the installer. But now how we can check whether my operating system is 32-bit or 64-bit? And for that you have to just click on start. And in start you can get one option, that is my computer or computer. Then click right button of mouse. Then you can get a last option, that is a property. You just click on that and you can get information about your system, that the system type is 32-bit operating system. It means that my operating system is 32-bit operating system. So I will click on first option, that is 32-bit operating system, and just click on that. If your operating system is 64-bit, then you can click here. Once you click on either 32-bit or 64-bit installer, then you can get this installer and then click on that. Then click on run. Then you have to click on next. And your Putty software will be installed in your C drive in program file. We are not going to change the location. You just click on next. Then install. We have to wait while the setup wizard install Putty. Then you have to click on finish. So we have installed our Putty software in our C drive. So just open our C drive. Inside the C drive you have to click on program file. Inside the program file there will be one folder, that is Putty folder. So this is our Putty folder, you just open it. Inside this Putty folder there will be number of exe file, and we required two exe file. One is putty.exe and second one is puttygen.exe. This both the file we will use to access Linux virtual machine from the AWS. So let's back to our steps. In that we'll discuss how we can launch our Linux server from the AWS. I hope you got clear idea about how to install Putty software. Now let us open AWS console and log in with your ID and password which we have already created in our free tier account, and then click on service. In a service in compute domain you will get one option, that is AWS EC2. You just click on that and follow different steps. Step number 1, choose an Amazon machine, that is AMI, and here we are going to launch Linux server. So you can choose any Linux server which is eligible for the free tier. So you just select any Linux server. Step number 2, choose instance type. Here we have only one option, that is t2.micro. Only one option is eligible for the free tier account, so just click on that, you just select it. Then third option, configure instance. We can configure instance. We already discussed what is configuration or how we can configure instance in our previous video, so you just configure it. Step number 4, add storage. You can add storage, maximum 30 GB is available in our free tier, so you can add a maximum 30 GB. Then step number 5, add tag. You can give different tags. Then configure security group. It is just like our firewall, you can add different rules. And last step, that is review. After completion of this all the step, you can review it and then you can launch our server. So these all are the different steps that we will follow in our demo part. So let us go directly on demo. So open AWS Amazon.com and log in with your ID and password. I have already logged in. So here we can get information about our account. This is the account name and here region. I have already chosen Mumbai region. You can choose any region. And then click on service. In service in compute domain you can get one option, that is EC2. You just click on EC2. It is our elastic compute cloud. Then you can get a dashboard. In that you can get information about current running instances. You just scroll down. Then you can get one button, that is launch instance. You just click on that and launch instance. Once you click on launch instance, then you have to follow different steps that we already discussed. The first step, that is choose Amazon machine. So this is our AMI, that is Amazon machine images. There are number of images of different operating systems are there. We have to identify which is free tier eligible. So just check first one, that is a Linux server, Amazon Linux 2 AMI, which is eligible for the free tier. Red Hat is also eligible for the free tier. So there are number of options. Among that you can choose any option. Here we are going to launch our Linux server which is eligible for the free tier. So this first, that is Amazon Linux 2 AMI, we are going to select. So just click on that. So this is our first step. In that we have already chosen our Linux server. Now second step is choose an instance type. So as we already discussed in our free tier we have only one option, that is our t2.micro. So by default it is already selected. You have to just click next. That is our next step, that is configure instance detail. You just click on that. Now step number 3, that is configure instance. You can configure your instance as per your requirement. So the first option is number of instance, how many instance you want to launch. You can launch multiple instance at a time. For example, we want to launch only one instance, so we can put here 1 and by default it is 1. Second one is purchasing option. Here we can request for this spot instance. So once we click here, then you can get availability zone and current price also, but this is for the demo purpose, so that we are not going to check. Next one is network. By default it is VPC network, default network is available. You can create a new VPC network also. Subnet, Here no preference given by default, but you can give a preference also. For example, once we click here, then you can get different preference. As we already chosen Mumbai as a region, so in Mumbai region there are number of availability zone. So one zone is South 1C, second one is South 1B, third one is South 1A. You can select any availability zone where we can create our instance, but right now by default we are choosing, because we are not going to change it because it is just for the demo purpose. Next one is auto assign public IP. It is already enabled. Just scroll down slowly, and then you can just read all the information given here, and you can change as per your requirement. Here domain zone directory, you can create new directory even. Go down. CPU options is also available. Shutdown behavior is already stopped. Here just read this line, enable termination protection. Here one option that is enable termination protection is available. Just read carefully. You can protect instance from being accidentally terminated. Once enabled, you won't be able to terminate this instance via the API or AWS management console until termination protection has been disabled. So once we checked here, it means that we can save our instance from the accidental termination. This option is also better for the instance. Then monitoring, then tenancy. In tenancy, once we click, then you can get different options like SAID, then dedicated, run a dedicated instance, then dedicated host. Right, but right now we are choosing SAID, and SAID is better because we can reduce overall cost once we choose this option, because we can share our resources among multiple instances, so overall cost can be reduced. And then you can check another option, and as per your need you can change it. Then click on our next step, that is our add storage. So maximum 30 GB space is available, so you can change as per your need. By default it is 8 GB, so we are not going to change right now because it is just demo. You just click on next, that is our add tag. You can give different tags. For example, we are going to give one tag, that is our name of server. So just the key is name, and you can type a server name, for example Linux server. You can give maximum 50 tags here. Then click on next, configure security. So here we can configure security group. As we discussed, it is just like our firewall. You can create new security group, or you can select existing security group also. Suppose we are going to create a new security group, then the first is we have to give security group name. So for example, security group 1, and for example same we are writing in our description. Then by default SSH is available, the port range is 22, and here we are just selecting anywhere so that we can access from anywhere. You can add different rule. For example, if we add HTTP, you can add HTTP, the port range is 80. Then you can add another rule, for example HTTPS. So select HTTPS, the range is 443, and here also we are selecting anywhere. So in this way you can add different rules, and then click on last step, that is review and launch. So this is our last step where you can check all the steps which we have already done. So step number 1, in that we have selected Amazon Linux 2 machine. In step number 2 we have selected instance, that is t2.micro. Then we have created security group 1, and we have added some rule, that is our SSH, HTTP and HTTPS. So you can just review it, and then last you can launch. So just click on launch. Once you click on launch, then there is an option where you have to create key pair. If already available, then you can select it, otherwise you can create new key pair. So choose an existing key pair, or you can create a new key pair. So we are just creating new key pair, so just select it and give any name. For example Linux key pair. You can give any name here. and then download key pair. This key pair is very much important because by using this key pair we are going to access our instance. So you have to save this key pair anywhere, and remember wherever key pair is available, and then you have to click on launch instance. Here you can see that your instances are now launching. You just scroll down and just click on view instances. Then here you can get information about our instance. So this is our Linux server. This is instance ID. Our instance is running. Our instance type is t2.micro. Right now the status is 2x2 checks. It means that our instance is now ready. And all the information you can get here. For example, public IP address is available here. Then security group name is security group 1. This is our Linux key pair is the name of the key, and launch time is also available. So you can get all the information here. Once our instance is ready, then you can click on connect. Just click on connect. So here instance ID and different steps already given, and we are going to access our Linux server by using Putty Software. So let us access our Linux server. Now it is ready so that we can access through the Putty Software. So you have to open C drive. Inside the C drive there will be one folder that is program files. Open program file folder. Inside this program file there will be one folder that is Putty. Just open this Putty folder. Inside this Putty folder there will be number of exe files. So we require two exe files. One is puttygen.exe and putty.exe. You just click on puttygen.exe first and then click on load. You have to select key which we have already key pair which we have already stored in our F drive. So just click here first all files, and then you can get key pair. So this is our key pair, linux key pair.pem file. You have to just select it and then open it. Then click on OK, and then click on save private key. Then click on yes, and you have to give location where you want to store your private key, and this private key will have extension that is a .ppk. You can give any name. For example, Linux private key 2. You can give any name and save. Then close it. Now click on putty.exe. Once you click, then first step is you have to give IP address. This IP address is nothing but our public IP address of our instance. The public IP address we can get from our console. So this is our instance. You can get public IP address from here. You just copy it and then paste here. So this is our public IP address, and then there is one option that is SSH here. You just click on that. Inside one option that is auth that you have to select, and here you have to browse our private key which we already store in our F drive. So browse it. So you have to just click on all file here again so that you can get all the files. So we have stored Linux private key 2.ppk. So select it and then open. Then you can get terminal. So in this terminal you have to write different commands to access our Linux server. So basically 4 commands you need to write. The first command is ec2 user, ec2-user, then sudo su yum install http-y, service http status, service http start. These all are the different commands we will use to access our server. So let us use one by one all the commands. The first command is ec2-user and then enter. So in this way we have logged in, and you can see here authentication with public key, imported OpenSSH key. So we have logged in our Amazon Linux to AMI. So now next is we have to type sudo su so that we can get all the rights to install, and then we have to write yum install httpd -y. Then you can see here installation is going on, and here you can see complete. Now we need to check whether our service is ready or not, whether it is active or not, so that we are checking by using one command, service httpd and status. So we can get status of the service. Here we can check the status is inactive. It means that it is inactive, so we have to make it active. And to make it active, we have to write one command, that is service httpd start. So just write service httpd start, and then you can check the status again. So we have to write same command, service httpd status, and now check the status. Now the status is active and it is running. Here you can see they started the Apache HTTP server. So our Apache HTTP server is ready. So now let us check whether our server is ready or not, and for that you have to minimize this virtual server first, and then on any browser you can type public IP address. So find out where is our public IP address. So our public IP address is available here. You just copy it and then paste on any browser, and then click on enter key. So you can get this kind of screen. It means that our Apache server is ready. So in this way we can launch and access our Linux virtual server on AWS. I hope you got a clear idea about how we can launch and access Linux server on AWS. So thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you again.